Hi, I'd like to reapply for the overseas assignment. There was a pause on the other end of the line. HR sounded surprised. I thought you turned it down before, because of your engagement. This time it's a minimum 3-year post. Your fiancée adores you. She'll really be okay with this? She'll agree, Parker said, firm, but his voice scraped with effort. Everyone knew how deeply Chloe loved him. She cooked every meal for him, never repeating a single dish, always considering his sensitive stomach. Rain or shine, she was there waiting outside his office at exactly 6 o'clock. Even for something as minor as a cold, she refused to leave his side. For 24 hours straight, she'd sit by his bed. Birthdays, anniversaries, little milestones, she never missed a beat, always with a surprise up her sleeve. So when Parker heard that Ethan, Chloe's first love, was coming back to town, he didn't worry. Not even a little. He was wrong. Ethan landed that morning. And that very afternoon, Chloe got down on one knee and asked Parker to marry her. It caught him completely off guard. Parker had proposed 3 times in the past. Chloe always said she was too young, not ready yet. He'd been disappointed, sure, but he didn't want to pressure her. So he waited. Her sudden proposal had lit something in his chest, pure, stunned joy. He said yes without hesitation. But that night, a message arrived on his phone. Anonymous. A single screenshot. A chat thread between Chloe and Ethan. Chloe. Parker's been with me for 5 years. I can't not marry him. But Ethan, the only man I've ever wanted to marry is you. The moment Parker read it, it was as if all the blood drained from his body. He wanted to confront her. Slam the phone down in front of her and ask what the hell this was. But he didn't. Because he was afraid. Afraid that everything, the 5 years, the love, the laughter, had been nothing but an elaborate lie. Afraid he was the punchline to a joke everyone else was in on. For the next 2 weeks, Chloe didn't change. Not one bit. She still doted on him with the same tenderness, the same meticulous care. And for a moment, Parker began to doubt himself. Maybe the message had been fake. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone was trying to ruin them. Until this morning. More photos. New ones. Chloe, smiling. Her eyes glowing. Standing beside Ethan as he tried on tuxedos for a wedding. Helping him adjust the cuffs, straightening the tie. Looking for all the world like the bride she'd always dreamed of being, just not for Parker. And the tux she chose for Parker today? It was the same one Ethan looked best in. What's wrong, baby? Chloe's voice cut through his thoughts. Parker blinked, looked over at her in the driver's seat. Her eyes were wide with worry. Your eyes are red. You don't like the tux? Should we go back? You can try something else. No. It's fine. She pulled over, flustered, her hands trembling slightly on the wheel. If I did something wrong, just tell me. Please. I'll fix it. You know I hate it when you're upset. Something twisted deep in his chest, tight and cruel and silent. He couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. Liar. You never wanted to marry me. But God, you sure knew how to act like you did. A second later, Chloe's phone rang. The moment she saw the caller ID, her expression shifted, drastically. Don't panic, I'm on my way, she said quickly, before turning to Parker. Babe, something urgent just came up with Ethan. I need to go. Right now. Can you get home on your own? Parker didn't answer. He simply pushed open the car door. It had started to rain. He turned back to grab an umbrella, but before he could reach for it, Chloe pulled away, fast. The tires spat muddy water across his legs. He just stood there, watching her car disappear into the misty gray. For a second, he wanted to laugh. All the questions burning in his chest suddenly felt pathetic. What was the point? Demanding answers would only make him look like a fool. So Parker walked home. In the rain. Soaked through, chilled to the bone. When he got inside, dripping onto the hardwood floor, a message popped up from HR. Your ticket's booked. Start preparing. The departure date was set for 2 weeks later. That day? It was supposed to be their anniversary. And their wedding day. Parker looked over at the wedding countdown calendar still sitting on the table. At the very top, in his handwriting, were the words. Marry the one who loves me most, in the best years of my life. Liar. The tears came hard and fast. The ink blurred and bled across the page. He and Chloe had been college sweethearts. After graduation, he'd turned down a higher-paying job in another city, just to stay close to her. And now, it was because of her. He couldn't stay here a moment longer. All her reasons, all her, I had no choice. They weren't love. They were cruelty, dressed up as sacrifice. He didn't want Chloe anymore. Not the version of her that turned him into an afterthought. The rain had gotten to him. Parker felt the chill deep in his bones. By the time he lay down, his head was foggy, his throat raw. He drifted off. When he woke again, it was late afternoon. Still a little groggy, he stepped out of the bedroom, and froze. Chloe was in the living room. Towel in hand. Drying Ethan's hair. I'm fine, Ethan said, laughing softly. Barely even got wet. Don't move, she replied gently. Even a little rain can make you sick. I don't want you feeling awful later. Parker didn't move. He just stood there. Silent. Still. Watching them. Then, like an old song playing in the back of his mind, a memory surfaced. Their first year together, Chloe had begged him to take her to a Taylor Swift concert. Parker had been running a fever that night, but he didn't say a word. He didn't want to ruin her excitement. But Chloe had noticed. 10 minutes into the opening act, she grabbed his hand and pulled him out of the stadium, straight to the hospital. She'd cried that night, furious with herself for not realizing sooner. After that, for 4 straight years, every cough, every shiver, Chloe had treated like an emergency. And now? Now she was wrapping that same care around someone else. Not him. Not anymore. Honey, don't overthink it, we just. Chloe had just finished drying Ethan's hair when she finally noticed Parker standing there. Ethan spoke up first. My place sprung a leak. Ceiling's a mess. Chloe said I could crash here for a while. Parker turned to Chloe. This, was the urgent matter? Chloe hesitated. Ethan's not like you. He grew up privileged, he's never had to rough it. I just thought. She didn't finish the sentence. Because Parker's eyes had gone red. Instantly. Chloe realized, too late, what she'd said. I didn't mean it that way, she whispered. But the damage was done. Parker had grown up with nothing. His parents divorced before he could walk. He was passed around from one place to another like someone else's responsibility. And Chloe knew, his deepest dream, the one he barely dared to say out loud, was to have a real home. In their 3rd year together, Parker had worked himself to the bone to buy this apartment. And to make her feel secure, he'd added Chloe's name to the deed without her even asking. She'd spent weeks decorating it. Called it, our little home. Said it was theirs. Just the two of them. And now? She wanted to let someone else move in. And not just anyone, Ethan. She didn't even hesitate to twist the knife into the softest part of him. It's fine, Parker said quietly. He had offered up his softest parts. That wasn't her crime. That was on him. But there wouldn't be a next time. Chloe exhaled, relieved, and wrapped her fingers around his hand, tight. Then Ethan, oblivious, asked, "Wait, if I'm staying in his room, where's Parker sleeping?" Chloe froze. Her grip faltered. "He'll take the study tonight," she mumbled. "Babe," she added quickly, turning to Parker, "the guest room's still being cleaned." "Ethan's just a guest, could you give him tonight?" Later, after Ethan disappeared down the hallway, Chloe circled back. "I heard this thing, about how couples should spend less time together right before the wedding. Something about building anticipation. I'm just doing this for us." Parker gently pulled his hand away. "It's okay." The calm in his voice didn't match the flicker of unease in hers. That night, the sky broke open with thunder and rain. Parker was lying on the makeshift mattress in the study when Chloe texted. "I can't sleep without you next to me. It just feels wrong." Before he could respond, another message came in. This one from Ethan. It was a photo. Chloe, sitting on the edge of Ethan's bed. Smiling. Letting him hold her wrist like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Can't sleep in a new bed," she offered to stay. "You want her back, or?" Parker's chest tightened. He could barely breathe. He stood up, opened the drawer, and took out cold medicine. His head was pounding. His throat was raw. Chloe texted again. "But if this is what it takes for forever with you, I'll get used to anything." He swallowed the pills with a glass of water, along with the nausea crawling up his throat. Then typed out his reply. "Thanks. That means a lot." He switched to Ethan's thread. "No need. Do whatever." Then Parker lay back down on the thin floor mat in the study. Stared at the ceiling. 14 days left. Almost there. The next morning, breakfast was made by Chloe. She watched Parker closely, trying to read the slightest shift in his face. "Last night without you was awful," she said, gently. "But if I want to be your wife, I need to stick it out. Just 13 more days." "Right. 13 days left." Parker's eyes were shadowed, unreadable. Chloe had just taken a sip of milk when Ethan leaned over, grabbed her glass, and drank from it, without hesitation. Chloe immediately glanced at Parker. "Don't be mad. That's just how he is, goofy and impulsive." Once upon a time, Chloe had been mindful. She kept boundaries with other men clear as day. She never gave Parker reason to question her. Turns out, that caution never applied to Ethan. "It's fine," Parker murmured, without even looking up. Chloe froze. Something in his tone had changed. "Honey, you..." "Hey, Parker," Ethan cut in before she could finish. There was a smirk playing on his lips. A taunt behind his eyes. "Do you know what Chloe used to be like?" He didn't wait for a response. "She used to be this messy tomboy, loud, stubborn, kind of reckless. But she changed. For me. She learned how to cook all my favorite dishes. Remembered every little anniversary, every dumb holiday. Started planning surprises. Just for me." Parker sat there in silence. His throat tightened. So that was it. All the things he once treasured most in Chloe, her attentiveness, her care, her softness, weren't for him. They were echoes of the man she really loved. "Ethan, enough," Chloe said, but it came out weak. Not a real rebuke. More like an indulgent nudge. Parker's appetite vanished. He got up, went to the study, and grabbed his folder of documents. When he came back out, Chloe was holding his phone. "HR just called," she said. "They want to know when you're dropping off the handover paperwork. Didn't you already take your wedding leave? What else is there to hand off?" Parker had emptied his entire bank of vacation days to prep for their wedding. A full month off. Carefully planned. There were a few loose ends. I need to swing by. Chloe didn't press further. It's raining. I'll come with you. Parker's fingers tightened around the folder. Inside it, tucked between the pages, were his visa documents. It didn't really matter if she found out now. He hadn't planned on hiding it forever. The drive was silent. Too silent. When they arrived at his office building, Chloe walked him in, umbrella in hand. She scrolled through her messages as they walked, barely looking at him. Her attention was elsewhere. And yet, her umbrella tilted sharply toward his side, shielding him from the rain. Just like always. Some habits, it seemed, were easy to fake. Parker glanced sideways at her, expression blank. Chloe. Oh, Chloe. Just a little longer. This show's almost over. An HR manager stepped outside to meet him at the front entrance. Parker, here's the final set of documents for your overseas assignment. Chloe's phone buzzed. She glanced down. Ethan fell, she said suddenly, her body going still. Her breath caught. She didn't hear a word the HR rep said after that. I need to go back. But before she could finish, Parker had already stepped out into the rain, walking toward the building without looking back. She stared after him, stunned. Go on, he said calmly, pausing under the awning. Rainwater slid off his shoulders. Chloe hadn't expected that. Not the distance in his voice. Not the indifference in his posture. She hesitated, her feet inching forward instinctively. Then Ethan's call came through. She picked up, and all it took was one low groan of discomfort from him, and every ounce of hesitation vanished. I'll go check on him, she said hurriedly. It's raining, so just wait here. I'll come back and drive you home. Once upon a time, he would have believed her without question. Now? He barely registered the words. Inside, Parker sat down with HR, handed over the final documents, and signed the contract. It was official. He was leaving. 2 hours later, back at home, Chloe finally called. Hey, babe. Something came up at the office, I couldn't make it back. Can you grab a cab home? At the same time, his phone buzzed again, photos. Chloe, arm in arm with Ethan. Shopping for furniture like newlyweds. Parker didn't flinch. No worries. Work comes first, he said evenly, his tone without color. In the background, he heard a man's laughter. Chloe must have stepped away from the receiver, her voice became distant, muffled. A beat passed. Then she came back on the line. Text me when you get home, okay? Or I'll worry. But this time, Parker didn't wait for her to finish. He hung up. One by one, he saved the photos. Then set the phone down. And began packing. The apartment was full of Chloe's gifts, years of birthdays, anniversaries, and, just because, surprises. He took pictures of each item. Listed them online for sale. When he was done, only one thing remained, a ring. A gift from Chloe on their 1-year anniversary. Handmade. Simple. Worn with time. He held it under the light, thumb brushing against the dull metal. Inside the band, 2 letters were engraved. C and E. For years later, the weight of it finally hit him, like a gut punch he hadn't seen coming. How pathetic. Even this hadn't been meant for him. Without hesitation, Parker walked to the trash and dropped it in. No ceremony. No second glance. Just closure. Over the next few days, Chloe stayed close to Ethan. She helped him furnish their future home piece by piece, building a life that wasn't meant to include Parker. Meanwhile, Parker's presence in their current apartment began to shrink. His belongings thinned out. Drawers emptied. Shelves cleared. 8 days left until the wedding. Parker returned from the embassy after finalizing his visa. When he walked in, he saw Chloe and Ethan on the couch, laughing, heads bent over a stack of wedding invitations. Ethan glanced up, grinning like he owned the place. "Hey man, come take a look. Help us choose." The invitations were scattered across the cushions. Every design, every print, they were the result of days of work. He and Chloe had picked them together. Parker remembered debating fonts, arguing over envelope textures. He'd wanted every detail of their wedding to be perfect. But now? No need. Parker walked past them and into his room. None of those invitations would be mailed with his name on them. That evening, Ethan knocked on Parker's door. "This one's Chloe's favorite," he said, holding up a card. "You know why she picked it?" Parker took it, turned it over. Inside, the bride's name was written in Chloe's familiar handwriting. "And the groom?" "Ethan Archer." Parker said nothing. Ethan smirked, stepping closer. "She picked my suit with me. Designed the ceremony around my preferences. And now this." He tapped the invitation. "Pretty much everything in this wedding says, 'Prepared by Ethan, for Ethan.'" Then he leaned in slightly, voice lowered. "So what's the point, man? You really think you're still the one she wants to marry?" Parker let out a laugh. Soft. Cold. "Then why isn't she marrying you?" Ethan's grin faltered. "Don't get cocky," he snapped. "You might be the name on the certificate, but I'm the one in her heart." He raised the glass in his hand, swirling the contents. It was one of the handmade mugs Parker and Chloe had crafted together for their wedding, custom, matching, just for them. Even now, when the wedding was slipping away, he hadn't been able to throw them out. But watching Ethan hold it, something in Parker snapped. "Give it back." He reached for it. Ethan yanked his arm, and let it fall. The ceramic shattered against the floor. Chloe burst into the room. Just in time to see Parker standing over Ethan, blood dripping from his hand where shards had cut through skin. "What are you doing?" she shouted, pushing Parker backward. His palm throbbed. Splinters of ceramic still embedded. He tried to explain. "He broke the mug." "It's a damn mug, Parker." "Jesus. What is wrong with you?" Her words hit harder than the shove. He fell silent. Blood streamed between his fingers, pooling at his feet. Ethan groaned, dramatically clutching his side. Chloe hesitated for only a moment, then rushed to him. "Where does it hurt?" "Lean on me. I'll take you to the ER right now." Parker didn't follow them. Didn't move. His eyes burned, but he held back the tears. He looked down at the broken cup. The last of their wedding gifts. The last of the delusion. He'd loved Chloe, completely, without reserve. But somehow, in her world, that meant he was the one who always had to yield. Always had to bleed for someone else's comfort. In that moment, something inside him broke. And reassembled. It wasn't that he wasn't enough. It was that she never deserved him. Quietly, he picked up the matching mug, the one Chloe hadn't touched. Dropped it into the trash along with the shards of the first. Didn't even flinch. That night, Parker slept. And for the first time in a long time. He didn't dream of her. The next morning, Parker's phone buzzed. A message from Chloe. "I'm sorry. The Archers and Mitchells have been close family friends for generations. He just got back, and I promised my parents I'd help him get settled. My mom, Megan, doesn't have a great impression of you. Ethan was upset last night. I couldn't just leave him alone in the hospital. Please don't read too much into it." As if every choice she made hadn't already made it crystal clear. Parker tossed the phone aside. Didn't even want to read it, let alone reply. Later that afternoon, Chloe came home with Ethan. She made sure he was comfortable first. Only then did she come to Parker's room and knock. "I didn't realize you were hurt that badly," she said softly. "I swear, it won't happen again." She took his hand, but barely held it, as if afraid to cause more pain. The cut wasn't deep. But the thin red lines across his palm looked raw. Angry. Too real to ignore. Parker said nothing. Just mumbled something vague. Then, head down, he picked up a pen and crossed another day off the wedding countdown calendar. He'd once made the calendar with excitement, eager for the ceremony, the vows, the life after. Now, the only thing he counted down was his escape. "Parker, what happened to the mugs?" Chloe's voice pulled him from his thoughts. She was staring at the trash can. He followed her gaze. Said nothing. She panicked. "Okay, listen. We'll make new ones, better ones, after the wedding. I promise. There's not going to be an after, Chloe." "What?" She blinked, like she couldn't trust what she'd just heard. Parker didn't repeat himself. But his silence rang louder than anything else in the room. "If you're upset, I'll fix it. I'll do it all myself, okay? And if it's Ethan, I swear, after the wedding, I won't see him again. Ever." She reached for his hand again. "Babe?" He looked up at her. "Your hand, it's ice cold. Are you feeling okay?" Her concern sounded genuine. Her eyes wide with worry. Her voice soft. "I'll get you a blanket." She rushed to the wardrobe, pulling it open. And froze. Half the closet was empty. All of Parker's things, gone. She spun around. Eyes scanning the room. Only now did she start to notice. The books. The framed photos. The records. The sneakers by the bed. All the little pieces that made up his space, his presence, his life here. Gone. Chloe's voice was shaky. "Where are the gifts I gave you? Parker, where are your clothes?" "The gifts? Sold. The clothes? Packed." Each word he spoke made her face drain a little more of its color. "You're mad at me, aren't you?" Parker didn't answer. Chloe yanked open another closet door, and saw them. His suitcases. Neatly packed. Zipped. Ready. She let out a breath of relief. "Oh, you packed early. That's good. We're moving into the new place soon, right? Easier this way." She smiled, shaky but hopeful. "And the gifts, it's okay. We'll have more anniversaries. More celebrations. Those old things, yeah, they were probably due for a clean-out." She took his hand again. Her voice dropped, heavy with guilt. "I'm sorry, babe. I don't know what I was thinking. I messed up. I hurt you, and I didn't even realize it." Parker looked at her. Felt nothing. Not anger. Not affection. Not even sadness. Just quiet. That night, Chloe sat by his side on the bed. "I'll stay until you fall asleep," she whispered. "I won't leave until I know you're okay." For 5 years, Parker had grown used to sleeping with her beside him. Now, it had taken her less than a month to make him unlearn that comfort. Around 1 a.m., drowsiness finally began to settle in his limbs. "Parker?" Her voice cut through the darkness. He opened his eyes, reflexively. The glow of her phone lit her face, too brightly, too long. She tried to mask her impatience, but didn't quite manage it. He closed his eyes again. "Babe?" This time, he didn't answer. Did exactly what she wanted him to do. Chloe slowly rose to her feet. Her movements quiet, careful, as if lifting a weight off her chest. "Okay. I'm coming now." The bedroom door clicked shut behind her. Parker lay still, eyes open in the dark. A memory floated up, uninvited. Their 4th year together. He'd been in a car accident. A broken leg, fractured ribs. Chloe had dropped everything, work, friends, family, to stay by his side. She barely slept. Refused to leave the room, even for a minute. He had begged her to rest, and she'd said, "What if you need me and I'm not there?" That was her then. But now? Now, even a few minutes felt like too much. And Parker no longer needed her at all. The rain was back the next morning, steady, silencing. Parker had barely stepped out of his room when he saw Chloe rushing toward him. Her clothes were soaked through, her hair damp and clinging to her cheeks, but she was smiling like she held something sacred. "Still warm," she said breathlessly, pulling a bag from under her coat. "It's from your favorite place. I ran all the way back so it wouldn't get cold." Parker took it. The hot dog inside was warm to the touch. He was hungry. So he ate. Without a word. Chloe disappeared into the kitchen and returned with 2 cups of coffee, 1 latte, 1 black. The latte was placed gently before him. The black went to Ethan, who was already seated across from him. Ethan scrolled through his phone, then sent Parker a photo. A street lamp. Rain misting through the beam. Chloe holding an umbrella, tilted heavily toward Ethan's side. They were both wrapped in the same oversized black coat. Close. Intimate. In the corner of the photo? The sign of Parker's favorite breakfast spot. Parker looked up. Ethan raised his cup of Americano and smiled. "How's the hot dog?" So that's what it was. Even the breakfast hadn't been for him. He was just included. Parker swallowed the last bite. "It's good." Ethan's smile faltered. Parker finished his coffee in one long sip. The next 2 days followed a pattern. Chloe doted on him with sudden intensity, up early to buy breakfast, lunchboxes packed with care, dinners plated like rituals. But everything came in twos. 2 mugs of soup. 2 folded napkins. 2 sets of chopsticks. And always with Ethan. Parker's phone filled with more photos. He didn't save them. Didn't delete them either. Just let them pile up. 5 days left. A text came in from Chloe. "Babe, I got my time off. I'll come find you and then we can head out for the wedding shoot." Parker stared at the screen. The wedding shoot. He flipped open the countdown calendar. The day was circled in red ink. Big letters, engagement photos. It used to be the thing he looked forward to the most. Now he'd completely forgotten it. He picked up his pen. Crossed off another day. No wedding. No photos. Not for him. Today would be the day. He'd say what needed to be said. No drama. No fight. Just clean closure. But Chloe didn't show. 2 hours later, Parker got her call. "Babe, I'm so sorry. The company's sending me on an emergency trip, Arden City. I'll be gone 5 days. I can't make it today." Arden. The same city where Parker had booked their engagement shoot. "Maybe I can talk to them. Push back. I'll take full responsibility if anything happens." Her voice was full of guilt, her tone soft, wounded. "I know how much Arden means to you. I don't want to ruin that." Parker was quiet for a long beat. "Work comes first," he said finally. "We can always take the photos later. I'll book us flights," she promised. "Right after the wedding, we'll go. Just the 2 of us." After she hung up, Parker opened his contacts and messaged one of Chloe's co-workers. He asked a simple question. Got a simple answer. Yes, the trip was real. Yes, she had been sent out last minute. Nothing suspicious. Just bad timing. Parker flipped the calendar forward. Tucked behind the last page was a folded sheet of paper. 2 sheets, actually. Covered in notes. He'd spent 2 sleepless nights putting it together: restaurant lists, photo spots, local quirks. Half of it had been for the engagement shoot. The other half? Just to show Chloe the city he'd always dreamed of. The photos were off the table now. But Arden? He still wanted to go. He folded the guide carefully, placed it back in his suitcase. Took one last look around the apartment. Everything that was his was gone. He picked up his bags. Walked out the door. And didn't look back. 3 days until the wedding. Parker spent the days exploring Arden, one corner at a time, checking off every spot from his list. Every bookstore. Every cafe. Every hidden street he'd bookmarked at 2 a.m. over the years. Chloe texted often. I asked Ethan to stay with a friend. I didn't want him making you uncomfortable. I'm in Arden now. It's just like you imagined, charming and peaceful. After the wedding, we'll stay longer, okay? The cherry blossoms are stunning. I wish you were here to see them with me. He didn't need to wish. He was here. Parker closed the photo she just sent, soft pink petals scattered beneath the overcast sky, then looked up. He was already standing in that very place. The trees blooming overhead. Petals falling like slow, quiet rain. It was one of the first places on his list. The difference was, this time, he was here for himself. And in that same cherry blossom grove, just a short distance away, Chloe stood in her wedding dress, slipping her phone into her bag before throwing herself into Ethan's arms. Their eyes locked, soft, slow-burning, magnetic. They looked like they were made for each other. Chloe leaned her cheek against his chest, smiling. Happy now, she murmured. Have I ever said no to you? She looked up at him, voice light but laced with certainty. You know I love you. You always have. Parker's steps faltered. The breeze cut through him like a blade, cold and hollow. The photographer snapping their pictures? He recognized her. She was the one he'd booked months ago, after comparing portfolios late into the night. For 4 straight hours, Parker kept his distance, never too close, never fully gone. He watched them move through the exact spots from his itinerary. Every hidden garden, every mural wall, every scenic overlook, they were his choices. His dreams. And Chloe lived them out, with Ethan. Every new location triggered a message on his phone. From her. Babe, I miss you so much. Everything here makes me wish I could run back and leave all this work behind. 3 days until the wedding. I've never felt time move this slow before. There's this stone here, covered in couples' names. When we come back together, we'll carve ours in 2, promise? Parker, I want forever. I want a lifetime with you. He didn't respond. Just kept walking, silent, until the sky began to dim and tourists thinned out. Eventually, he made his way to the wishing stone. It stood tall, names scrawled across its surface, layer upon layer. Near the top, right where it was hardest to reach, he saw 2 names pressed together. Chloe and Ethan. Her forever. What a joke. Parker laughed. And in the same breath, the tears came. He didn't fight them. His phone buzzed again. And again. One message after another. This time, from Ethan. Photos. The wedding shoot. Chloe in white, Ethan beside her, matching smiles, matching rings, a life rehearsed to perfection. Anything I want, she gives. Thanks to you, by the way. The photos turned out great. Parker stared at the screen. Then slowly, silently, he powered it off. No reply. Not a word. Not anymore. The day before the wedding, Parker returned from Arden and went straight to see his closest friend, Miles. Sorry, he said quietly. You prepped for so long, and now you can't even be my best man. Chloe and I. He didn't get the sentence out. Miles cut him off. You're finally done with her, huh? The way Parker had loved Chloe. If there had been even the smallest chance left, he never would have walked away. His throat tightened, but Miles didn't push. Just clapped a hand on his shoulder and pulled him inside. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages poured in. You're the luckiest guy alive, Chloe's obsessed with you. You're gonna be the happiest groom tomorrow. Wishing you two forever, grow old together, never part. Been rooting for you two since college. You and Ethan, my faith in love is restored. Yes. Ethan. Even now, people still believed Parker and Ethan were the couple getting married. Buried in the wave of texts was one from Chloe. Babe, I'll be home by 8 tonight. Wait for me, okay? But before the clock hit 8, Ethan sent him a location. No words. Just an address. And Parker understood. He wanted him to come. To watch. To finish it. And truth be told, Parker was curious. He followed the address to a private lounge. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, Ethan reached for a bottle of wine. Chloe swatted his hand away. You're allergic. Don't be stupid. Aren't you supposed to be rushing home to him? Ethan's voice was flat. Distant. I don't need you babysitting me. Ethan. But his eyes had already turned glassy. And Chloe, instantly, softened. Fine. I'll stay. I won't go back. Outside the door, Parker stood still. His phone buzzed again. More messages. Mixed in with the wedding wishes. From Chloe. Babe, big project at work. I have to run back for one last meeting. Just one more night of overtime, and I'll be able to take extra days off for Arden. For you. 14 days, babe. I held on. Just one more, and I'll finally be your wife. Parker smiled. God, she still said it like it was for him. Inside the room, Chloe set her phone down. There. Happy now? But Ethan didn't smile. He shook his head. I don't want you at the wedding tomorrow. Chloe froze. Ethan's voice cracked. He gets you for decades. I just want one day. The last day. Is that really too much? A long silence. Then, barely above a whisper. Okay. Ethan exhaled. Smiled. And pulled her into his arms. Through the narrow gap in the doorway, Ethan's eyes met Parker's. Smug. Victorious. And Parker? His gaze darkened. Quietly. Completely. Tomorrow was supposed to be their wedding. If Chloe didn't show, what would people think? Would they wonder if something terrible had happened? Would they worry about him? She knew they would. And still, she didn't care. For Ethan, she was willing to let the chaos fall squarely on Parker's shoulders. The embarrassment. The explaining. The aftermath. Originally, Parker had planned to apologize to Miles, then send a mass message to cancel the ceremony, gracefully. 5 years together. He'd wanted to leave Chloe with a shred of dignity. But now? Now she didn't deserve that. Parker turned, walked out of the hotel, and slid into Miles's car. I need a favor. The next morning, 10 a.m. Miles dropped Parker at the airport. As the gate closed and boarding began, his group iMessage thread exploded. What's going on? Where are you two? Everyone's here, we're just waiting on the bride and groom. Parker, the ceremony's starting. This isn't funny. Don't ruin this. Parker, what the hell are you doing? Answer me. Just as he'd expected. Chloe's family and friends had never liked him. Now, with her missing in action, every finger pointed at him. He exited the group chat. Then blocked every single person connected to her. One tap. No hesitation. Then he shut off his phone. The plane took off. Parker leaned back in his seat. Eyes closed. One quiet thought in his head. Goodbye, Chloe. May we never meet again. Back in the hotel suite, Ethan stepped out of the bathroom, a towel slung low on his hips. Ethan, come help me with my hair, Chloe called, holding up the blow-dryer. It wasn't the first time she'd checked her phone, still off. No messages. Nothing from Parker. Maybe I should just. No, Ethan interrupted sharply. You promised. All of today belongs to me. Chloe fell quiet. She switched the blow-dryer back on. The dull roar filled the room, but it couldn't drown out her thoughts. She imagined Parker waiting at the hotel, checking his watch, looking for her in every car that pulled up. She thought about his childhood, divorced parents, shuffled between relatives, always treated like an afterthought. Her parents never liked him much. What would they say now, when she never even showed up? Would they blame him? The blow-dryer whined and whirred. Her hand trembled. Finally, she switched it off. Ethan sat on the couch, relaxed. Casual. We're running out of time, Chloe said, her voice quieter than she expected. Ethan stood to kiss her. She turned her head. Dodged it without thinking. The thought was crystal clear in her mind. She needed to go. She needed to get to the hotel. This has to end, she said, stepping back. I can't leave Parker standing there alone. Ethan froze. Stared at her. Unblinking. Chloe let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding and turned her phone back on. The screen stayed black for a beat. Then it lit up, flooded. So many unread messages, her phone froze for a few seconds. Where are you? Is this some kind of joke? Where the hell are Parker and Chloe? Are you seriously taking wedding photos with Ethan? Her chest tightened. Something cracked. The panic came fast, curling up her spine. She opened her messages, searching for Parker's name. Nothing. No missed calls. No texts. Not one word from him since the night before. That wasn't possible. She tapped his contact. Called. Powered off. Her pulse spiked. Then, another call. From her mother. Chloe, the wedding started. Where are you two? Her mother's voice was sharp. Irritated. Humiliated. Don't go along with Parker's little tantrums today. Not on your wedding day. And why did he block the whole family? What's going on between you two? Do you two want the entire guest list to think we're a goddamn joke? Chloe's grip slipped. The phone nearly fell. He's not at the venue? No, Chloe. He isn't. What is happening? The panic took over now, full body. Chloe bolted out of the hotel room. If Parker wasn't at the wedding, then it was her fault. She'd pushed him too far. He was angry. Rightfully so. But if she could just find him, just explain, everything could still be okay. She ran through the venue like a storm. Sweat clinging to her skin. Makeup melting down her cheeks. Parker? Has anyone seen Parker? No one had. But everyone had seen the big screen, the slideshow playing above the altar, photo after photo of Chloe and Ethan in full wedding attire. The guests had seen plenty. But Parker? Nowhere. He must have gone home. Of course. That's where he'd be. She hit the gas, foot slammed down, tires screaming. The house was just 20 minutes away. She made it in 12. She threw the car into park, ran up the steps, flung the door open. Empty. So empty it echoed. Like a showroom apartment. Like no one had ever lived here at all. Parker? Her voice cracked. Too soft. She pushed the bedroom door open. Nothing. She called again. Louder. Parker, come out. Please. Don't scare me. Silence. She stumbled toward the closet. Pulled the doors wide. No suitcases. No clothes. No trace of him. Everything that was his, was gone. The blood drained from her face. She stood there, shaking, staring into the empty space where her future used to be. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. Chloe jolted, like someone drowning catching one last breath. She ran to the door and flung it open. Parker. But it wasn't him. It was Miles. And behind him, Ethan. Great, Miles said coolly. Everyone's here. He shoved a box at them, hard. Parker left something for you too. Then he turned and walked away without another word. Take care of it, he tossed over his shoulder. Parker was cursed to ever meet someone like you. The box hit Chloe squarely in the forehead. She staggered back, eyes wide as the corner split her skin, thin blood already rising to the surface. The box fell open on the floor. Inside was Parker's wedding suit. Perfectly folded. Never worn. Chloe stared at it, dizzy. Her breath caught in her throat. Ethan, meanwhile, could hardly hide his excitement. Well, Parker left. Voluntarily. You don't have to marry him out of guilt anymore. He stepped forward. The whole ceremony was for us anyway. Let me change into the suit. We'll go back together. We'll finish this wedding the way it was meant to be. Chloe didn't move. Then Ethan reached for her, and she shoved him away, hard. No. I'm marrying Parker. No one else. Ethan stumbled, barely catching his balance. What? Chloe, what are you talking about? But she didn't answer. Didn't even look at him. She turned and walked out the door. Ethan stood frozen. Her words echoed. Only Parker. But hadn't she once told him he was the only one she ever wanted to marry? Was that a lie? A game? Or just a version of her that no longer existed? Back at the wedding venue, everything had collapsed into chaos. Guests confused. Families furious. A celebration unraveling in slow, humiliating silence. And halfway across the world, Parker's plane touched down in London. Carl, his new colleague, was waiting at the gate. He took Parker's suitcase and loaded it into the trunk of the car. I've gone through your strategy decks, Carl said as they pulled away. They're excellent. Honestly, I've wanted to recruit you for years. When you turned us down last time, I nearly flew back just to convince you in person. He paused. By the way, your wedding. When was that scheduled? I'll make sure work doesn't interfere. We can free up time. Parker gave a small smile. Today. Carl blinked. Oh. A beat. Wait, are you saying? Don't worry, Parker said. Someone else volunteered to take my place. Neither of us will be missing anything. A pause. Then Carl asked, cautious. She cheated? Yeah. Parker nodded. Inside job. Couldn't have stopped it if I tried. Carl gave a low whistle. Narrowed his eyes. Then, after a long moment. Congratulations. Seriously. One clean break. You're free. Parker laughed softly. Not bitter. Not broken. Free. Before boarding, he had tossed the wedding countdown calendar into the airport trash. And now, with both feet on new ground, he left everything else behind. The 5 years with Chloe, the good, the bad, the illusions, were over. Done. Even saying her name now didn't stir anything in him at all. Parker turned his phone back on. It started buzzing instantly, messages flooding in. Babe, where are you? I've looked everywhere. I'm so scared. Please just call me back. I got stuck in the elevator, no signal, I wasn't trying to be late. Even if I messed up, yell at me, hate me, just don't disappear. I'm terrified. Parker stared at the screen, lips pressed into a thin line. If he hadn't known the truth. If he were still the man who believed in her. He might have been the one panicking now, thinking something had happened to her. But she had walked the line between him and Ethan with perfect calculation. Made sure she had a backup plan. Made sure everyone was covered. Everyone except him. The fool. The decoy. The collateral. Parker said nothing. He slipped the phone back into his pocket. The car pulled over to the curb. I've got a meeting to run into, Carl said, popping the trunk. Alice will take you to the apartment. You two just landed back to back, it's good timing. He handed Parker his suitcase. I've been trying to hire Alice for years, Carl added with a grin. She finally gave in yesterday. Carl waved toward the curb. Alice. Over here. Parker looked. And froze. There she was. Alice. Smiling, sharp-eyed, standing effortlessly composed beside a suitcase that matched his almost exactly. Older by 2 years. His senior back in college. And, as fate would have it, his first team lead after graduation. She had mentored him through his earliest awkward steps in the corporate world, taught him how to write emails, how to read rooms, how to stand up for himself without raising his voice. She left the company just a year after they started working together. No warning. He remembered being oddly disappointed. Now she was here. Alice walked up, fast and easy, dragging her suitcase behind her. Parker couldn't help it. The words tumbled out. What a coincidence. Alice looked him in the eye. Something unreadable in her gaze. It's not. Before he could unpack that, his phone buzzed again. Chloe. He hesitated. 2 seconds. Then picked up. Her voice came through immediately, breaking at the edges. Parker. I don't understand what I did wrong. You didn't even show up to the wedding. You left me there, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and turned it into a nightmare. If I hurt you, I'll fix it. Just tell me what I did that made you stop loving me. Her voice cracked on the final word. For a moment, Parker hesitated. She sounded so raw. So real. So desperate to be forgiven, it almost made him feel like the villain. But then he remembered. The photos. The vows rehearsed with Ethan. The name carved in stone beside someone else's. And most of all, he remembered the truth Chloe never thought he'd know. He listened to her until she fell quiet. Then he spoke. The wedding photos of you and Ethan? I sent them to the team decorating the venue. Silence. Pure, stunned silence. Like the air had been pulled from her lungs. And on his end, Parker said nothing more. Because for once, nothing needed to be added. Parker hung up before Chloe could say another word. Sorry you had to witness that, he said quietly, pocketing his phone. Alice tilted her head. Calm as ever. Not blocking her? Parker paused. Alice added, matter of fact. If you don't leave your ex with hope, you won't leave yourself with trouble. Parker turned to look at her. She said it so simply, like a law of nature. He couldn't help but wonder, had she said it from experience? Maybe she'd had more than one past she didn't look back on. But then again, she was Alice. The kind of woman people don't forget. It would make sense if more than a few had tried to hold on. Wordlessly, Parker pulled out his phone and blocked Chloe. Alice's lips curved, just slightly. "Come on," she said. "I'll take you to your apartment." The surprise came when they arrived. Her place? Next door. "I've been here a while," Alice explained, unlocking her door. "Let me help you get settled. You'll need the essentials." It was a thoughtful offer. One Parker couldn't, and didn't want to, refuse. After a trip to the store, it was only fair he return the gesture. "Let me treat you to dinner." Alice didn't protest. Didn't pretend to hesitate. At the restaurant, Parker told her to order whatever she wanted. She didn't hold back. But when the dishes arrived, every single one was his favorite. Parker blinked. "What a coincidence," he said, smiling. Alice raised a brow. Didn't answer. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, in a foreign city, sharing dinner with someone who knew you better than you realized, it felt like something good. They walked back slowly, the kind of stroll you don't rush. Just as they reached the door, Parker's phone lit up, Miles, calling via video. He picked up. "Hey," Miles said. "Just checking in. You good? You landed? You?" Miles rattled off questions, rapid fire, worry thick in his voice. Parker chuckled, listening patiently, answering as he could. At one point, the camera shifted just enough to catch Alice in frame. Miles blinked. Hard. "Wait a second, Alice." Parker tilted the phone to the side, giving Miles a full view. Of course he'd recognize her. They'd all gone to the same university. Alice had been legendary. Beautiful. Brilliant. Out of reach. Miles didn't recover. "You're telling me you just broke up yesterday, and now this?" Parker opened his mouth to respond, then glanced at Alice. She was unreadable. Before he could say anything, Miles's voice rang out again. "I'm telling you, Parker, Alice is totally plotting on you." The words had barely landed before Parker ended the call. A flush of heat rose to his ears. "Sorry. You know Miles, he blows everything up." "I know you're not." Alice interrupted, her voice cool and direct. "Don't apologize." She stepped closer. "Because I am plotting on you." Parker froze. Eyes widening just slightly. Alice's gaze didn't waver. "Parker, it's not a coincidence. 2 years ago, I left because of you. And now, I'm here. Also because of you." His mind stalled. Just for a second. The dots connected. Back to that first day, when she'd looked him in the eye and said, "Not a coincidence." She stepped back, just a little. Smiling. Warm. Soft. No pressure. No force. Just Alice. Waiting. "Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow." Parker stepped into his apartment, door closing with a quiet click behind him. Everything felt mechanical. Distant. He unpacked his suitcase slowly, head still full, somewhere between memory and blankness. He slapped his cheeks lightly, trying to snap himself out of it. 2 years ago, he'd bought a home and moved in with Chloe. Back then, she was the only possibility he could imagine. He'd never even questioned why Alice had left. For a moment, that thought stirred something restless in his chest. But it passed. He wasn't looking for a new relationship. Not now. His phone buzzed. He glanced down. A message from Alice. She'd been in his contacts for 2 quiet years, never once making a sound. Now. His chest tightened, reflexively. "Good night, Parker." He exhaled. Let it settle. Then another notification appeared. A friend request. Chloe. New number. He didn't accept. But he read the message. "For 5 years, everyone saw how good I was to you. Don't I at least deserve a chance to explain? You can't just shut me out like this." Across the city, Chloe stared at her phone. Unblinking. Waiting for the friend request to be accepted. But nothing came. No response. No notification. Just silence. He knew. He had to know. But how? She looked around the room, their room, the one they had planned together, filled together, furnished as a couple. Now she couldn't find a single thing that still felt like him. Her palms were slick with sweat. The panic built, slow, consuming. The door opened. Ethan stepped in. "You've been locked in here for hours. We're all worried about you." Chloe didn't even look at him at first. When she did, her stare was sharp. "Tell me," she said flatly, "how did Parker get the wedding photos?" Ethan blinked. Then quickly threw up his hands in defense. "I don't know. I swear. I only posted them to my backup account. It's private, I didn't think anyone would ever see them." "Let me see it." Ethan hesitated. But finally handed over his phone. The photos were there. The exact ones Parker had shown at the venue. Chloe scrolled through them slowly. Carefully. All the way to the end. Her face remained unreadable. Then she spoke. "They're fake." Ethan froze. "What?" "The photos." Her voice was icy, each word sharpened. "They're fake. That's the story. That's what you're going to say." She locked eyes with him. "Do you understand?" Ethan shrank beneath her stare. "Yeah." Chloe stood. Walked to the door. "Ethan, when Parker comes back, we're just friends." She closed the door behind her. Soft. Final. Ethan slumped forward, gripping the edge of the table for balance. Then he laughed. Sharp. Bitter. "Friends?" He shook his head slowly. No matter what he did, how long he waited, how far Parker ran. In Chloe's eyes, he'd never even make it to friend. Back to the way things were? What a joke. Only fools believe in that kind of beginning again. As soon as Chloe stepped out of the room, people swarmed her. "What's going on, Chloe? You need to say something. Everyone's calling me asking what happened. Why were you and Ethan taking wedding photos?" Voices layered over each other, overlapping like rising static. Chloe's temples throbbed. "The photos are fake," she said finally. "Parker misunderstood. He quit his job and blocked me. I haven't been able to reach him to explain." She repeated the excuse. The second time sounded more convincing. Even to herself. "Parker's completely out of line," someone snapped. "His family's a mess, he's basically an orphan. I only ever accepted him because of you. Now look at this disaster. The embarrassment. Honestly, what did you expect from someone raised without proper parents? I'm telling you now, if he ever comes back, he better apologize to every single person here. Otherwise, I'll never acknowledge that man again." Chloe stood there, silent. Didn't argue. Didn't defend him. Didn't say a word. Within 2 days, word had spread. Parker had thrown a tantrum. Parker had walked out. Parker had abandoned his own wedding. Everyone was quick to assign blame. But not to Chloe. She remained untouched. Graceful. Wronged. Meanwhile, Parker was cast as the unstable one. The problem. The runaway. Chloe didn't try to contact anyone else. Instead, she went out more. Drinks with friends. Girls' nights. Laughter through wine. Another empty bottle was pulled from in front of her, replaced with a fresh one. Any word from Parker yet? Chloe took a slow sip. No. You were too good to him, that's why he didn't value it. Let him sit in silence for 2 weeks, he'll come crawling back. No one would still wait for him. Except you. Someone else chimed in. He blocked my number too. But we were in that old group me from college, I'll tag him there. He'll see it. Chloe didn't stop them. Didn't encourage them either. She just watched. Eyes dull. Expression unreadable. The messages went out. The group exploded. Parker was tagged, publicly called out. At Parker the photos weren't real. This was all a misunderstanding. Ethan's already cleared it up. If you come back within 2 weeks, everything can be salvaged. The wedding incident? Forgotten. Honestly, you're not a kid. Quitting your job over this? Come on. Chloe can help you get the position reinstated. Let's be real, someone like you doesn't get many second chances. Miss Chloe, and you're not finding better. Chloe scrolled through the messages. Watching the group thread detonate. Everyone was talking. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a plan, for Parker. But no one had asked what he wanted. Not once. Want me to track Parker down for you? Chloe looked up. The wedding photos had been dealt with. She'd publicly distanced herself from Ethan. Her name was clean. And since she'd done nothing wrong. Since Parker loved her so much. Of course he'd come back. He couldn't live without her. He just needed time. No need, she said, tipping her glass and swallowing it whole. Whatever hesitation lingered was now gone. I'll give him 2 more weeks. Meanwhile, Parker had seen everything. Every message in that old GroupMe thread. There was one, though, that made him pause. The timelines don't even match. Chloe was out of town on a business trip that day, Parker knew that. One lie stacked to justify another. It should have made him angry. But Parker didn't feel anger. Only amusement. Everyone seemed so sure he'd come back. As if his return were inevitable. As if the only question was when. He muted the group. Let them wait. He wasn't coming back. Not for Chloe. Not for any of them. Working with Alice again after 2 years felt oddly natural. There was no awkwardness. No adjustment curve. It was as if they'd never stopped. In just 2 weeks, they wrapped up 2 major projects. Flawless execution. Zero tension. Alice never once brought up her feelings again. Not a word. Not a look. Parker, in quieter moments, even wondered if he'd imagined her confession. Maybe she hadn't meant it at all. Until one evening, while they were out walking, he got a message from Miles. Are you even reading anything in the GroupMe thread? Curious, Parker opened the muted chat. Scrolled. Stopped. It was a reply from Alice, posted that very morning. In response to a comment from weeks ago. With your background, Parker, if you let Chloe go, you'll never find better. Alice had written. And what about me? Would I count as better? Parker froze. Heartbeat skipping. Breath catching somewhere between his ribs. Alice, walking beside him, slowed as well. She glanced at his screen. I hadn't looked at the thread until today, she said. Someone mentioned it this morning. I figured I'd reply. Parker hesitated. They might start talking, he said. About you. About us. Alice turned toward him. Under the soft glow of the street lamp, her silhouette spilled gently across his shadow. Let them. I don't care what they say. Then she looked up. Eyes steady. Voice quiet, but unshakably clear. But I care about you, Parker. And just like that. The humid summer breeze skimmed across his skin. And he felt warmth rising unbidden to his cheeks. Not embarrassment. Not surprise. Something else. Something new. Parker turned his gaze away and kept walking. Alice didn't say another word. She simply stayed beside him, matching his pace, quiet and close. But Parker. He couldn't stop sneaking glances at her. The curve of her cheek when she smiled. The way her hair caught the lamplight. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Miles's teasing echoed again, loud and irritating. Before he realized it, Parker had slowed down. Alice paused too, turning to wait for him. Her face was calm, patient. He flushed, quickly ducked his head, and rushed to catch up. They were nearly at the building when his phone buzzed. A new friend request. Chloe. Today's the last day of 2 weeks. I'll be at home. Waiting for you. He blocked the number. No hesitation. No second glance. Then slipped the phone into his pocket as they reached the front door. Alice turned to him. Good night, Parker. Every night, without fail, she said it. Every night, her gaze lingered a beat longer than it had to. And tonight, he felt it more than ever. He paused. Then turned. Do you want to come in for a bit? The words left him before he could stop them. And instantly, he regretted it. Alice froze, eyes wide, ears flushing red, her usual poise completely gone. Parker felt his own face burn. I didn't mean, wait. That's not what I was trying to say. But the door shut behind them before he could finish. Alice reached for him. Hooked her fingers in the collar of his shirt. Rose up on her toes. And kissed him. He caught her waist. Pulled her close. Took control. The kiss turned hungry, urgent. Like he'd been starving for her. Like he needed to consume every breath she offered. And even then, he paused. Gave her space to stop. Gave her a way out. Are you sure? Alice's lips were flushed, slick, her breath unsteady. She gave him a look that burned clean through his restraint. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, Parker. I don't regret a thing. Everything unraveled from there. The sound of his phone buzzing faded into the background, unnoticed, unimportant. Nothing mattered but her. Nothing else existed. But even Parker hadn't expected what came next. Wait, Alice, this isn't. No, hold on, first, you should. He fumbled for clarity. For a handle on something he hadn't quite grasped. Didn't you have a lot of exes? Alice froze. Under the warm light, her face was flushed, beautiful, chaotic. But her voice was small. Honest. No. Just you. Parker blinked. Just him? Then what about all that advice on how to handle exes? A slow, mischievous smile curved her lips. She leaned in again, whispering softly in his ear. That's why I needed you to teach me. And just like that, Parker's mind went blank. All logic, gone. Everything that followed was breathless, wild, and full of things unsaid. When they finally stilled, foreheads pressed together. Alice's eyes held nothing but molten heat. Her voice was a whisper. Soft. Drenched in affection. Parker, can we do that again? And in that moment, There was no past. No Chloe. No doubt. Just her. Just this. Just now. The next morning. Parker opened his eyes. And Alice was the first thing he saw. Last night was my first. His brain flatlined for a second. Alice laughed. Not coy, just radiant. Parker, you owe me now. You'll have to take responsibility. Honestly? He didn't mind at all. At this point, Alice hadn't given him a single reason to want anything else. By noon, Alice had already posted a photo on Instagram. She didn't tag him, didn't name him. But anyone paying attention, especially the ones who'd seen her GroupMe reply, could put the pieces together. She didn't deny it either. That afternoon, Parker's phone rang. Miles again. Dude. Chloe's lost her mind. She drank herself sick, ended up in the ER with a bleeding ulcer. Parker leaned back in his chair. Oh. Oh. That's all you've got? Miles didn't wait for a response. Also, GroupMe is blowing up. Everyone's wondering if you and Alice are actually a thing now. Parker glanced across the room. Alice was pretending not to listen. But her pen was upside down. He smiled. Yeah. We are. Miles's yell echoed through the speaker. Alice quietly flipped her pen around, still signing papers, but now her ears were tinged bright pink. You know Chloe rebooked everything, right? Miles kept going. Venue, flowers, ceremony. The whole damn wedding. She seriously thought you'd come crawling back. Only now, after landing in the hospital, she's finally asking where the hell you went. Guess she really thought she owned you. Parker didn't reply. He didn't need to. By the way, word about your overseas assignment starting to leak. But whatever. Just keep ignoring her. Let her stew. Will do. He ended the call. And just like that, Chloe's chapter was over. No anger. No regrets. Just quiet. He found himself liking Alice more with each passing day. Within the week, she was already on the phone introducing him to her family. His contacts list grew: siblings, a cousin, someone's grandmother who kept texting heart emojis. It was nothing like before. With Chloe, for 5 long years, every conversation had revolved around how good she was to him. Every friend, every relative made it clear. Parker was lucky. Parker was punching up. Parker didn't deserve her. And if he ever faltered, if he forgot to thank her loudly enough, he was ungrateful. Every gift he gave, every hour he worked, every gentle gesture was expected. Required. Taken for granted. But with Alice, everything was different. She never asked for proof. She never made him feel like loving her was a performance or a debt. She only ever told him one thing. I love you, because you're worth loving. No transaction. No guilt. Just presence. And choice. And when Parker did something kind, she looked at him like he'd given her the world. Nothing was expected. But everything was noticed. Dinner had been simple. Alice had cooked. Parker sat on the floor, surrounded by a half-unpacked shipping box her family had sent over. Towels. Socks. A rice cooker. Way too many vitamin gummies. And, he raised an eyebrow. A t-shirt with "World's Best Son-in-Law" printed on it. Your mom thinks I'm the prize, Parker muttered, holding up a pair of slippers 2 sizes too small for Alice. Guess that makes me the stray dog she adopted you from, Alice teased, plating the pasta. Parker turned to look at her, amused. Are you jealous? She shrugged, totally deadpan. Not really. I'm gonna marry you anyway. He laughed. But before he could respond, the doorbell rang. Parker stood, dusted off his hands, and went to get it. He opened the door. Chloe. Standing there, pale and thin, eyes red-rimmed and glassy. Her voice cracked on the first word. Husband. She looked at him like a drowning woman seeing land, like he was salvation. Like she didn't dare blink. I finally found you. Before he could even react, she flung her arms around him. I missed you so much. Please come home. Let's start over. Let's have our wedding, just like we planned. Parker's smile vanished. He pushed her off, firm, but controlled. She staggered back a step, stunned. Her eyes filled instantly. Don't call me that, he said sharply. It makes me sick. Chloe looked up, shattered. I already explained about the wedding photos, she rushed out. They were fake. I told you, I was on a work trip that day. You knew that. There's nothing between me and Ethan. He was just a friend. If you don't want me to see him again, I won't. Her voice broke. You hid from me. It took everything to figure out where you were. I flew 10 hours just to be here. Parker, I'm begging you, don't do this to me. I can't take it. I really can't. Her whole body trembled as she spoke, tears trembling at the edge of her lashes. But all Parker felt was nausea. A deep, ugly churn in his chest. He stared at her. Cold. Expressionless. Have you no shame left, Chloe? She blinked, stunned. What are you talking about? What did I do that was so wrong? She pleaded, choking on every word. We were together for 5 years. We were about to get married. How could you just leave me? He didn't blink. Didn't flinch. You know exactly what happened on our wedding day. Chloe's pupils contracted. Her face blanched. I was stuck in an elevator, she said quickly. I swear, I wanted that wedding more than anything. I would never miss it on purpose. When I finally got out, they told me everything. I rushed to the hotel to find you, but you were gone. You blocked me on everything. I tried new accounts, new numbers, anything, just to explain. But you wouldn't give me a chance. Parker let out a bitter laugh. Short. Joyless. She was still doing it. Still pretending not to know. Still gaslighting him with that wide-eyed innocence. He'd seen behind the curtain. And he wasn't going back. Act in a lie long enough, Chloe, and even you start to believe it, huh? Parker's voice was low, cutting. He took a step closer. You call Ethan a friend? Is that what you call someone you share a bed with when you're supposed to be marrying someone else? Chloe froze, her entire body tense. Parker scoffed, a sound halfway between disbelief and disgust. You messaged him the night before you proposed to me, Chloe. Told him you were only marrying me because you had no other choice. That he was the one you truly wanted. You made me sleep in the guest room for a week, said couples shouldn't see each other too much before the wedding. And all that time, you were sneaking into my bed to fall asleep next to him. His voice tightened, fury carefully restrained but fully alive. And the wedding photos? You claimed you couldn't come because of a last-minute work trip. You even tried to throw me off, said you made Ethan leave early, for me. But the truth? He laughed bitterly. You know damn well if those photos were fake. You orchestrated the whole thing. We were supposed to have a lifetime, Chloe. And you gave Ethan one day, our wedding day. So tell me, were you both stuck in the same elevator too? Every word he spoke drained the color from her face. By the time he stopped, Chloe was pale as a ghost. Her body trembled, visibly unraveling. But Parker wasn't done. He stared her down with ice in his veins. I'm not stupid, Chloe. Chloe's eyes flooded, panic clouding them. "No, no, that's not true," she pleaded. "Please, listen to me, Parker, baby, I swear, I only ever loved you." Parker stared at her for a long beat. Then, he laughed. It was that awful kind of laugh, the kind people make when words won't come because the betrayal's just that deep. He pulled out his phone. "Love me, huh?" He scrolled through the muted GroupMe messages, the ones he'd avoided for weeks. "Love me enough to paint me as the problem? Make it look like I had some dramatic breakdown? That I was unstable, impossible, selfish? Right, then you said you were giving me half a month. What was that? Some grace period for the poor, pitiful fool you thought couldn't live without you?" His voice sharpened. "You really believed I should be grateful to have you? That marrying you was me hitting the damn jackpot?" Chloe's lips quivered, her whole body visibly shrinking in on itself. "No, that's not what I meant." Parker cut her off. "But it is what you believed." He took a slow breath, gaze unwavering. "Back when I loved you, I never wanted to see the worst in you. But now?" His voice dropped, cold and final. "Now I see exactly who you are. And I'm done pretending I don't. Before I blocked you, I saved all the messages your friends and family sent, calling me names, trashing me. Want to see the screenshots?" Parker's tone was razor sharp, not angry anymore, just cold. "Come on, Chloe. You think they said those things without your permission?" Silence fell like a heavy curtain. And then, "Parker, dinner's ready." The voice floated from inside the apartment. "Alice." Chloe swayed on her feet like she'd just been struck. "Alice? She's here?" Her voice cracked, small and stunned. Right then and there, she looked like a stray dog left in the rain, pathetic, broken. "But Parker?" Not a flicker of sympathy. "Exactly what you're thinking," he said evenly. "Though honestly, you already knew." And with that, he shut the door in her face. Alice was seated at the dining table, calm and composed. As Parker walked over, she passed him a set of utensils like it was the most natural thing in the world. His fingers brushed hers, pausing for a heartbeat. "Why didn't you come out just now?" It wasn't like her. Ever since they started dating, Alice had made it no secret she was his. Hell, half the office knew she'd followed him across countries. Alice smiled, soft and quiet. "Parker, even I get scared sometimes." She looked down, then back up with calm certainty. "But I'm not afraid anymore." "Why not?" His voice dropped, almost a whisper. Alice's gaze was steady, her voice full of quiet fire. "Because I know you. You don't look back, Parker. I know you don't love me as much, yet. But you're a good man. You take responsibility. And one day, I know you'll love me more than you ever loved her. Because I'm worth it." Something moved in Parker's chest, a small ripple, subtle but undeniable. He tried to lighten the moment. When did this turn into a conversation about responsibility? Alice tilted her head, eyes sparkling. "Because after you rejected me, I still chose you. I never looked at anyone else. Never gave anyone else a chance. If now I finally get to have you, I call that fair. I earned it." Her smile was radiant, enough to make his heart stutter. Parker's throat tightened. She was everything Chloe never was. "Alice." "Yeah." He hesitated for half a second, then let the truth spill. "I don't love her anymore." Alice blinked. Something flickered in her eyes. Parker met her gaze. "The person I love now, is you." There was a pause. And then Alice's lips curled into a wicked grin, voice low and playful. "Then let's eat. Can't celebrate on an empty stomach, right?" They both knew, tonight's dinner was just the beginning. Outside the door, Chloe didn't know how many times she had raised her hand to knock, but every time, it hovered mid-air, paralyzed by fear. Just minutes ago, Parker's words had crushed every last piece of her wishful thinking. At some point, she wasn't sure when exactly, she had become the kind of woman Parker despised. Numb, she walked out of the building and didn't stop until she was standing on the sidewalk. She looked up at his apartment window. A few minutes later, the bedroom light flicked on. Chloe's heart seized. She immediately turned her gaze to the apartment next door, Alice's. But it was dark. Not a single light. And just like that, her thoughts spiraled into a storm of torment. What were they doing now? Was Parker kissing Alice? Or worse, had they already? No. She shook her head violently. Parker wasn't like that. He was conservative. He wouldn't take that step unless he was certain, unless it meant something. It had taken them 3 years to get there. Back then, Parker had scrimped and saved, quietly buying a small place and fixing it up all by himself. When it was ready, he'd brought her there, beaming with pride. She had cried, overwhelmed. Told him it felt like a little home, just for the two of them. That night, Parker finally let his guard down and agreed to live together. And yet, how had she lost her mind so completely? How could she let Ethan move in without even telling Parker? She stared at the glowing window like it could somehow answer for her mistakes. It stayed lit for a long, long time. And then, it went dark. She turned her eyes back to Alice's apartment. Still no light. Still nothing. A bitter taste rose in Chloe's throat. For the first time, she tasted regret, real, gut-wrenching, soul-choking regret. She stood frozen in the courtyard, letting the night wind slice across her skin, arms wrapped around herself. And then, a terrible thought hit her like a blade. That half-month she'd spent with Ethan, while Parker was alone, blocked out, and abandoned. Had he stood here like this too? Had he stared up at her window, hoping, breaking? She had sworn she'd never hurt him. Not ever. She'd looked him in the eye and said so. So why? Why did she let herself believe it was okay to play both sides? Why did she think she could get away with it, that she could keep Parker and still flirt with temptation? She thought she had it all under control. That Parker would never know. That Ethan was harmless. But what she'd forgotten was the one thing Parker would never need proof for. Even if he never found out. The one who was wrong was her. Chloe somehow got hold of a car. Every morning when Parker arrived at the office, she was already parked across the street. At night when he came home, her car sat quietly in the courtyard like it had never left. Breakfast. Lunch. Dinner. Chloe personally cooked and had the meals delivered to him, carefully timing it so they would still be warm in his hands. She even managed to find the snacks Parker used to like, rare ones, hard to find, and had them shipped overseas from back home, placing them quietly by his apartment door. Every single effort failed. Parker, without hesitation, handed each offering to a passing stranger. And he made sure Chloe saw it every time. It had only been a week, but she'd visibly lost weight. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. And whenever their eyes met, hers would instantly redden, filled with desperate, silent pleading. Parker never looked back. To him, she was a stranger now. He would never allow Chloe to make Alice feel uneasy, not even a little. The first snow came. The temperature dropped sharply. Alice turned on the heating early, knowing Parker hated the cold. But outside, Chloe stayed huddled in her car, relying on the dashboard heater to survive the frost. That night, Parker got another friend request. It was her again. Parker, I've replayed everything in my head over and over. I really know I messed up. Can we start over, please? It's freezing out here. I don't know how much longer I can take this. I'm begging you, please don't ignore me. Parker held a warm bowl of chicken soup that Alice had made for him. He looked out the window. Her car sat alone under the soft snowfall, quiet, pathetic, cold. "It's below freezing out there," he muttered. "The car's heater won't be enough." Alice walked over and stood beside him. "Should I lend her my place for the night?" she asked, almost casually. Parker turned to her. "You'd do that?" "I'm not doing it for her," Alice said, shrugging. "I just don't want you to blame yourself if something happens." But Parker shook his head, took a slow sip of soup. The warmth filled his chest. "When I first started sensing something was off with Ethan," he said quietly, "I told myself something important. Parker, even if someone doesn't love you, you've got to love yourself. If you know the path ahead is nothing but a swamp, turn around." He reached up and pulled the curtain shut, blocking out the view of the car completely. "She doesn't even love herself anymore," he said simply. "So why the hell should I be the one to care? I'm not giving her even a shred of false hope." He looked at Alice, voice softening. "Alice, the only person I care about now, is you." Her throat bobbed as she swallowed, eyes lighting up like a sunrise. "Same here," she whispered. The friend request went ignored. And for once, Chloe didn't send another. They had just finished their chicken soup when the sound of sirens cut through the cold night air. Alice moved toward the window, peeking through the curtain. "It's Chloe," she said. Parker froze. He had let go, of Chloe, of everything they'd been. But he'd never wished harm on her. Turns out, the heating system in Chloe's car had caused a slow buildup of carbon monoxide. She'd passed out from oxygen deprivation. If the ambulance had come even 10 minutes later, she wouldn't have made it. The next day at noon, Chloe finally woke up. Nausea hit her immediately. She groaned, pale and groggy. A nurse leaned in to check her vitals. "You're awake. That's a good sign," she said gently. "Your boyfriend stayed by your side all night." He was so worried, nearly in tears. Chloe's eyes lit up, joy surging through the fog of illness. "He was here," she whispered, breathless. "He just stepped out to get a doctor. Said he didn't want to leave you alone for too long. He'll be back soon, don't worry." Hope flooded her. She had made it. A whole month of waiting in the cold, being ignored, rejected, humiliated. But Parker came. He still cared. That had to mean something. If he was willing to take care of her. Then everything that had happened, Alice, the breakup, maybe it could all be erased. They could go home together. Start over. Just like the last 5 years had never broken. She and Parker. Again. A voice outside the door broke her daydream. "Please hurry, she's been unconscious for hours." The door opened. Chloe turned eagerly toward it. Her voice cracked. "Honey, is that you?" But it wasn't Parker. It was Ethan. He rushed to her bedside, tears already spilling down his cheeks. "You're awake, God, you scared the hell out of me," he said, reaching for her hand. She yanked it away. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was cold. Colder than the frost she'd endured in her car. Ethan's face fell. "You were expecting Parker, weren't you?" He gave a dry laugh that quickly curdled into bitterness. "You gave up your shot at the exec position, walked away from everything you'd worked for, just to chase him across the world. And what did he do? Did he even show up?" "Shut up," Chloe snapped. Her voice shook with rage. "If it wasn't for you," she hissed, "none of this would have happened." Ethan stared at her, stunned. Then his laughter died completely, replaced by a hollow, cracking silence. "Are you even human?" His voice broke. "You were the one who came to me first, Chloe. You said you didn't love Parker, that marrying him was just an obligation. That the only person you truly wanted to be with was me. He looked into her eyes, hoping to find even a flicker of guilt. But she didn't flinch. There was nothing there. Not remorse. Not warmth. Not even pity. "You're not that innocent either," Chloe said coldly. "You knew what you were from the beginning. You knew your place. How can you blame anyone but yourself for how this turned out?" Ethan looked like he'd been struck. The hospital room went silent, so quiet it buzzed in her ears. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then, through clenched teeth, he muttered, "You should come home. I'll go back with you. Forget Parker. We'll start over, just the two of us." Chloe said nothing. The metallic taste in her mouth thickened, regret, fury, and something too bitter to name. She couldn't lose Parker. She wouldn't. She had tasted that life, those 5 golden years, and she wasn't ready to bury it. News of Chloe's recovery reached Parker through Miles. That wasn't surprising. What was surprising was this: Ethan had joined their old GroupMe chat. The one Chloe used to dominate. The moment he entered, the chat lit up like a match tossed into kerosene. And Ethan didn't hold back. He twisted the story, painted himself as the victim, Chloe as the discarded fiancée, and Parker and Alice as the villains. The worst part? People bought it. A screenshot scrolled past. "Can we talk about the timeline here? 2 years ago, Alice was Parker's subordinate. Now they're suddenly in a relationship right after moving overseas together. Sounds shady as hell." Another chimed in. "Poor Chloe. 5 years of her life down the drain. Parker just used her as a stepping stone. Thank God she didn't marry him. That man's trash." Parker kept scrolling. Then he saw it. Ethan's post, pinned right at the top. "You don't want Chloe? Fine. I do. You and Alice can do whatever the hell you want. Just don't come crawling back when it all falls apart." The group chat exploded. Miles, hot-headed as ever, was flaming Ethan in all caps, insults that could have gotten him banned from half the platforms on the internet. Parker stared at the screen. Then he laughed. They must have thought his silence meant surrender. Ethan probably assumed he'd just ignore it all, like always. But Parker wasn't avoiding the drama. He was just choosing when, and how, to respond. Across from him, Alice sat stiffly, her lips pressed into a thin line, fingers flying over her keyboard. Her expression was stone. Protective. Furious. Just as she was about to hit send, Parker reached over and took her phone. "Let me." Alice blinked. "You sure?" she asked softly. He nodded. She would fight for him. And now it was his turn to fight for her. Alice had crept into his life like spring after a brutal winter, quiet, gentle, inevitable. And now? She was the one thing he couldn't bear to see hurt. He looked her in the eye. "I've got this," he said. Because if anyone was going to shut this down, it was going to be him. Parker lowered his eyes and calmly typed a few words into the group chat. "Remember the wedding photos?" Silence. For a second, the chat stuttered. Then it roared back to life. "You've got to be kidding, Parker. Ethan and Chloe already cleared that up. Those pics were doctored, maliciously edited. You knew Chloe was on a business trip that day. Just because you and Alice are dirty doesn't mean everyone else is." And then, Ethan's voice joined in. "Careful what you say, Parker. You're throwing around accusations with zero proof." Parker stared at the screen, unmoved. 2 months. They really thought he'd done nothing? Ethan must have assumed Parker had deleted everything, chat logs, photos, memories. He hadn't. With practiced ease, Parker scrolled through his archives. There were dozens of receipts. But he only sent one. Just one picture. And the chaos came to an abrupt halt. The image showed Chloe, tucked in Ethan's arms, mid-laugh as the photographer tried to find the right angle. Parker followed up slowly, measured, lethal. I took that photo. I booked the photographer for their session. Ethan messaged me afterward to thank me, said the lighting made Chloe glow. Then came the kill shot. Chloe, you really want me to keep posting proof? Silence. The kind that hummed in your eardrums and made your skin itch. No one replied. Not even the usual loudmouths. Eventually, Chloe's message popped up, quiet and heavy. Parker's right. I wronged him. It was my fault. He stared at it. Felt nothing. The apology wasn't too late. It was just, empty now. Rotten with delay. He didn't bother replying. He didn't care what the others said. He tapped once, twice. Left the group. Across the couch, Alice looked over. Help me leave too? Parker glanced her way. Smirked. Of course. What kind of husband doesn't set the tone? 2 taps. Alice left the group. Phones down. Hands found each other. Her fingers were warm. Parker's heart, once chilled to the bone, softened as their palms pressed together. He looked down. She was already smiling, eyes bright, calm, sure. He smiled back, involuntarily. And just like that, the whole room felt warmer. The next time he saw Chloe was the following evening. Parker and Alice were walking back from their evening stroll when they saw her. Chloe, standing beside a silver sedan, shoulders hunched, eyes hollow. God knows how long she'd been waiting. I just need a minute, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Please. She gave a thin, tremulous smile. I booked a flight for tonight. I'll be gone in a few hours. She looked skeletal now. Her cheeks were sunken, her voice cracked with exhaustion and quiet desperation. Parker didn't answer. He looked toward Alice. Alice leaned in on cue, rose onto her toes, and pressed a soft kiss to his cheek. I'll go make dinner. Don't keep our guest too long, it's getting cold. Okay, Parker replied. Alice had called her a guest. Parker didn't correct her. They weren't performing affection, it was simply who they were now. Easy, natural, unafraid to show closeness in front of Chloe. Chloe's heart clenched. She watched Alice disappear behind the door. When Parker finally turned back to her, he didn't move closer. He kept a deliberate, wide distance. Go ahead. I'm on a schedule. Chloe swallowed. We were together for 5 years, she said. I can't let go of you. Parker, do you really not care anymore? Not even a little? Parker's face remained unreadable. Chloe's eyes began to sting. I destroyed my career to come here. I burned bridges. But I don't care, I just want you back. I asked around to get your favorite snacks, I begged people to lend me kitchen space just so I could cook for you 3 meals a day. You didn't even look at any of it, you just gave it all away like it was nothing. Her voice cracked under the weight of her panic. These days have been torture. It's freezing out there. I nearly died, Parker. And you, her voice faltered, you didn't even ask if I was okay. The words rushed out of her like a storm. She started coughing, deep, hacking coughs that left her breathless, bent at the waist. She peeked up at him, hoping, praying, he'd take a step forward. He didn't. Not even a twitch. Her lips lost color. How can you be this cold, she whispered. Just throw me away like this, without a second thought? Parker tilted his head. So tell me, Chloe, who's really to blame? The sarcasm was razor-sharp, each syllable dipped in venom. Chloe's body sagged, her spine caving in, hands trembling. She blinked hard. I thought. Ethan was just a mistake. A blip. When he left me to go overseas, I felt so humiliated. So angry. I just wanted him to feel as miserable as I did. The truth spilled out, bitter and ashamed. Parker's expression didn't change. It only deepened in disgust. Parker, I swear I know I messed up, but I never crossed that line with Ethan, Chloe pleaded, her voice hoarse. I never physically betrayed you. You have to believe me. She stepped closer, almost crumbling at his feet. Please, just give me one more chance. I can't, her voice cracked. I can't live without you. Chloe. A sharp voice cut across the yard. Parker turned. Ethan was walking toward them, fast, purposeful. Parker, he called again, stopping beside Chloe. We're flying home together tonight. Chloe's face went pale. No, we didn't agree on that, she stammered, panic seizing her throat. That's not. But Ethan smiled, calm and cruel. I just got back from the hospital, he said lightly. Turns out I had some good news waiting for me. Chloe's knees nearly buckled. Ethan, she warned. He didn't stop. You're pregnant, Chloe. Just hit the 2-month mark. The silence was a guillotine. Chloe froze, lips trembling, her entire body beginning to shake. 2 months. That would have been the day before she and Parker's wedding. No, she breathed, barely audible. Parker, it's not like that. But Parker only smiled. Congratulations, he said, tone cold as steel. The word felt like a blade across Chloe's chest. Her trembling intensified, and in that moment, she understood. This was the end. There was no coming back. She had burned it all to the ground with her own hands. Chloe, Ethan said gently, slipping his arm through hers, we've got a flight to catch. Parker turned to him then. Calm. Almost amused. Looks like you're out of escape plans, he said softly. Ethan's composed mask cracked just slightly. But Parker didn't care. He gave a half smirk, nodded once. Congratulations, he repeated. Then he turned and walked away. No more drama. No more damage to absorb. If Ethan wanted to sink with her, that was his choice, and he'd carry the consequences. Parker picked up his pace, anxious to get back upstairs. Alice was waiting. He didn't want to keep her waiting a second longer. After Chloe and Ethan returned to the States, Parker never checked in again. Miles never brought them up either. Life moved on. Parker's business skyrocketed. In just 9 months, he made the university's Alumni Hall of Honor, his name right next to Alice's. When Parker took some time off work, he flew back to San Francisco with Alice to meet her parents. To his surprise, the whole trip went smoother than he ever imagined. Alice had clearly done her homework, her parents already knew what he liked and disliked, down to the little things. The conversations flowed easily. No tension, no awkwardness. Just warmth and genuine welcome. That Christmas Eve, they had dinner together, her whole family gathered around the table, laughter in the air, candles flickering. Later that night, Alice tugged him downstairs into the backyard. She'd set up fireworks, just for him. The sky lit up in colors, and he turned to her, something swelling in his chest. Then, the words just came out. Alice, will you marry me? She froze, her breath caught in her throat. It took a long beat before she blinked in disbelief, and then sprinted to him. Wait, are you serious? She gasped. Parker chuckled. Honestly, he didn't know why it came out at that exact moment. He hadn't planned to say it right then. But now that it had, he didn't regret a single word. So he teased her, just a little. I mean, yeah. Probably. Alice's eyes filled with tears. Even if it wasn't a yes, it is now, she said, choking on a laugh. I've been waiting for this, Parker. So long. I never wanted to pressure you. I didn't want to make you feel like you had to be ready. She was trembling. But you gave me the surprise I didn't even dare to hope for. Parker felt his own eyes sting. Without a word, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the ring, a simple, elegant band he'd secretly picked out weeks ago. He dropped to one knee. Alice Jameson, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her cheeks as she held out her hand. Yes. I will. I'm so happy to be yours. After the proposal, it was like the world shifted into motion. Everyone around them was ecstatic, her parents, friends, even his colleagues back home. They all started helping with wedding plans. But no one worked harder than Alice. She handled everything: guest lists, flowers, music, menus. And the most incredible part? She got every single detail right. Without needing him to say a word, Alice just knew how to plan a wedding that felt right for both of them. Every time Parker looked at her, he felt it deeper. He wasn't just excited about the wedding. He was excited to build a life with her. The day of the wedding. Parker was adjusting his cufflinks when his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him swipe to answer. A voice, raw and crumbling, rasped through the speaker. You win, Parker. You win. She named our kid Parker Mitchell. Can you believe that? How pathetic is that? The voice cracked, every word dipped in bitterness and despair. Chloe's lost her damn mind over you. You should see what she looks like now. You really did a number on her. You must be so proud. Parker blinked. It took him a second to recognize who it was. Ethan, he said flatly. There was a pause. Then Parker asked quietly, with chilling calm. Did I ever do anything wrong? The other end went dead silent. And then Ethan broke. A choked sob. Miles, standing nearby in his best man's tux, had been watching Parker's expression shift. He spoke up. Ethan used to be a promising painter. But after everything, his name's dirt. Now he scrapes by doing cheap commission work. And Chloe? Miles shrugged, a little pity flashing in his eyes. She got fired. Official reason was corporate restructuring, but everyone knows why. Her parents are paying her bills now. Parker remembered how Chloe used to be her parents' pride. They never shut up about her perfect daughter resume, prestigious degree, high-profile job, handsome fiancé. The phone crackled again. Who are you calling? A woman's voice snapped in the background. Then another voice, unsteady, trembling. Parker? Is that you? It was Chloe. Parker didn't flinch. His tone was ice. Change the kid's name. A bitter laugh escaped him. You think that's going to make me feel something? Disgust, maybe. He hung up. Slid the phone into his pocket like it weighed nothing at all. Then he turned, and saw Alice walking toward him, radiant in white. That call, those voices, those ghosts, they belonged in the muck they created. He wasn't theirs anymore. He was Alice's. And their future was just beginning.